I entered the wrong room. The alien woman didn't ask me to leave. That night, Eli had never been to an interstellar space station before. Even though he had spent years studying alien technologies and engineering principles on Earth, nothing could prepare him for the sheer scale and complexity of this place. The station stretched across miles in all directions, a dizzying maze of corridors, docking bays, and glowing panels that hummed softly like a living organism. Humans were rare here, and Eli often felt small and out of place among the sea of alien travelers. It was late evening when Eli realized he had wandered far from the sections he knew. His feet carried him past shops selling strange foods, markets filled with alien artifacts, and corridors lit by soft, colored lights. His mission had been simple: deliver a diagnostic tool to the station's engineering hub. Yet somehow, he had lost track of where he was. Turning a corner, Eli paused in front of a door unlike any other he had seen. The script on it was unfamiliar, flowing in shapes that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. A voice inside hummed a melody he could not recognize, soft and deliberate. Curious, and perhaps a little reckless, he pushed the door open. Inside was a room unlike anything Eli had imagined. Holographic screens floated in the air, displaying diagrams and symbols that twisted and shifted like living things. In the center of the room stood a figure, tall, elegant, with skin that shimmered faintly, as if tiny lights moved beneath it. Her hair, long and flowing, seemed to float in an invisible current, and her eyes glowed softly, reflecting the patterns around her. Eli froze, certain that he had intruded into a highly private space. I'm sorry," he stammered, his voice echoing slightly in the chamber. "I didn't mean to." She did not interrupt or look angry. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, watching him with a curiosity that made him uneasy. Her hands moved gracefully through the holograms, adjusting the floating diagrams with a precision he had never seen. Eli expected her to order him out, perhaps even summon station security, but no words came. I'm just visiting," he added, hoping that would explain his presence. Her lips curved into a small, almost imperceptible smile. "You are not expected," she said, her voice musical but with a hint of amusement. "Yet you are here. Why?" Eli swallowed hard. He had no real answer. I got lost," he admitted. "I was looking for the engineering hub." She studied him for a moment, her gaze intense but not threatening. Then she returned her attention to the holograms, moving them with a fluid motion that seemed almost like a dance. Eli felt awkward, standing there in silence, unsure whether to leave or stay. He noticed, though, that some of the diagrams displayed problems he had seen before in his studies. Without thinking, he stepped closer, drawn by curiosity. "You are analyzing," she observed. Eli blinked. I think I can help," he said, pointing at one of the holograms. "If you reroute the energy flow through the secondary conduits, it should stabilize the system." Her eyes widened slightly, but she did not interrupt him. Instead, she nodded slowly and adjusted the hologram exactly as he suggested. The floating symbols shifted and reformed, and a soft glow spread across the room. Eli felt a rush of excitement. He had not expected to be taken seriously by an alien mind, especially one so advanced and unfamiliar. "You think differently," she said. I guess humans are sometimes like that," Eli replied, shrugging. "We see things in ways others might not." A silence followed, but it was not uncomfortable. The room seemed to settle around him, as if acknowledging his presence. He felt a strange connection, not just to the alien woman but to the technology itself, which had seemed so impossible until now. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Eli could not tell. The station's hum continued, but the world outside the room seemed to fade. He found himself explaining ideas, asking questions, and discovering that the alien woman responded with interest, not dismissal. Each time he suggested something new, she adjusted her holograms, testing his ideas in ways he had never imagined. "You are unusual," she said finally, a tone of respect in her voice. "Most visitors would leave immediately or panic." "I guess I don't always follow the rules," Eli admitted, laughing nervously. "Sometimes you have to try something unexpected." She considered him silently for a long moment, then nodded. "Unexpected sometimes reveals truth." Just then, a soft alarm echoed through the room. Eli's heart jumped. "What's happening?" he asked. "The station has a failure," she said, her hands moving rapidly over the holograms. "It is minor, but if ignored, it could grow." Eli's mind raced. He had studied station failures before, but this was no simulation. "Can I help?" he asked. She glanced at him, then at the holograms. "Perhaps, yes, you may assist." The words were simple, but Eli felt a surge of responsibility. He had come into this room by accident, yet now he had been asked to help solve a problem that could affect hundreds of beings across the station. For a moment, fear threatened to take over, but he pushed it aside. He had knowledge, and for once, someone was willing to trust it. Working together, they moved quickly. Eli suggested rerouting minor energy flows, stabilizing pressure regulators, and adjusting several sequences that the alien protocols had considered untouchable. She watched him closely, sometimes repeating his steps, sometimes testing his suggestions. Every adjustment he made seemed to spark new ideas, new possibilities. "You work differently," she said, almost softly. "You do not fear failure, you see chance." Eli felt a warmth in his chest. He had always believed humans were resourceful, adaptable, and capable of unexpected brilliance, but to hear it acknowledged by someone so advanced, it was exhilarating. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The station's systems began to stabilize and the holograms shimmered with new harmony. The alien woman finally leaned back slightly, her gaze lingering on Eli. "You may remain," she said. "Your presence is useful." Eli could not hide his surprise. I can stay." "Yes," she said simply. "Tonight you may learn more than you expect. You may teach as well." Eli realized he was smiling, perhaps more than he had in weeks. This strange, unexpected encounter had become something extraordinary. What had started as a mistake, entering the wrong room, had transformed into an opportunity to connect, to share knowledge, and to discover strengths he had not fully realized. As he glanced around the room, watching the alien woman work alongside him, Eli wondered if anyone would ever believe his story. He had entered the wrong room, after all. No one would expect that the mistake would lead to such a profound experience. Yet in that moment, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the hum of the station, the glow of the holograms, and the realization that sometimes being human, creative, persistent, and curious was enough to make a difference. And that night, as the station pulsed gently around them, Eli felt the stirrings of something far greater than any system stabilization. He felt the beginning of a connection, a recognition, and the subtle proof that humans were capable of brilliance, even in worlds far beyond their own. The door to the room remained open, but Eli did not move. He had entered by accident, yet he sensed that he was exactly where he needed to be. The night stretched ahead, full of possibilities, and for the first time in his life, he felt that being human was not a limitation. It was a gift. The station's soft hum continued as Eli stayed beside the alien woman. He had thought the night would be over once the minor failures were stabilized, but the systems now displayed signs of a deeper problem. It was subtle, almost invisible, but the alien woman's eyes, glowing faintly, caught it immediately. "There is another issue," she said, her voice calm but alert. "If ignored, it could grow more complex." Eli's heart raced. He had hoped his role would end with the earlier repairs, but somehow he had been drawn further into the heart of the station. "What kind of issue?" he asked. "The energy core, it behaves differently than expected. The protocols are failing to adapt." Eli studied the holograms. The The floating diagrams shifted constantly, as if the station itself were alive and reacting to something unseen. He could see the patterns she had been monitoring, but they were complex, unlike anything he had worked with on Earth. Still, he remembered the way his human intuition had helped before. "Maybe it's not a failure," Eli said slowly. "Maybe it's trying something new. Maybe we just need to guide it, not force it." The alien woman's eyes widened slightly. "Guide it?" "Yes," Eli explained. "Sometimes systems need freedom to adjust. If we block it, it fails. If we give it options, it can find its own balance." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then she moved closer, observing him with intensity. "You understand differently," she said. "Humans do not fear unknown paths." "I guess not," Eli said. "We try even when we don't know the result. We learn from mistakes. Sometimes mistakes lead to discoveries." She tilted her head, considering his words. "Perhaps your approach will work." They began the process together. Eli suggested gentle adjustments to the energy flow, subtle shifts that did not break the core's pattern but offered alternatives. The alien woman implemented his ideas, hesitating at first, then with growing confidence. As the night progressed, the core responded, its pattern stabilizing in ways the protocols could not have predicted. "You see possibilities," she said softly. "Most would only follow instructions. You create paths." Eli smiled faintly. "That's what humans do. We see opportunities, even where others see only problems." Hours passed. The station lights dimmed and brightened as the energy core found its balance. Holograms shimmered in harmony, displaying smooth, flowing patterns. Eli felt a deep satisfaction. He had entered this room by accident, yet he now played a role in something far beyond what he had imagined possible. "You have value," the alien woman said finally. "Your presence is more than expected." Eli felt warmth at her words. He had spent years doubting his own abilities, always comparing himself to advanced systems and beings far beyond human capability. Yet here, in this moment, he realized that his curiosity, persistence, and intuition were strengths. They were human qualities, and they mattered. The alien woman paused, studying him closely. "Tell me, why do humans persist, even when outcomes are uncertain?" Eli thought for a moment. "Because we believe in possibilities. Even when we fail, we try again. We find hope in what we can do, not only in what we are told to do." She seemed to reflect on this for a long while. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. "Perhaps this is why humans endure, why you succeed where others fail." Eli realized she was speaking not only of him but of humanity itself. The thought filled him with pride. For all their mistakes and limitations, humans had a resilience and creativity that even the most advanced civilizations might lack. As the night deepened, the station began to hum smoothly. Systems that had seemed unstable now operated in harmony, guided by Eli's adjustments and the alien woman's skilled oversight. It was a quiet victory, but one that spoke volumes. He had not used force, nor had he relied on technology alone. He had relied on thought, creativity, and a willingness to explore paths others might fear. "You taught me," she said quietly, "and perhaps I taught you something as well." Eli looked at her, surprised. I hope so." "You see," she continued, her tone almost reverent, "humans do not fear uncertainty. You embrace it. You find solutions in places others would not look. That is remarkable." Eli felt a sense of wonder. He had always believed humans had unique strengths, but to hear them acknowledged by someone so advanced, it was profound. He realized that this accidental encounter had become a lesson, not just for him, but for the alien woman as well. "Perhaps," she said slowly, "humans are meant to travel, to explore, to guide." Eli's heart beat faster. He had never considered it in those terms. Humans were often seen as limited, fragile, and unpredictable. Yet here in this room, his humanity, his creativity, intuition, and persistence had made a tangible difference. The station's systems now operated perfectly, and a calm quiet settled over the chamber. Eli took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the night's work. The alien woman watched him, her expression unreadable yet gentle. "You may leave if you wish," she said finally, "but your presence tonight has value." Eli shook his head. "I don't want to leave," he admitted. "I feel like I've learned more than I expected. And maybe I can help more." Her eyes softened. "Then remain, learn, and teach." The rest of the night passed in quiet collaboration. They discussed theories, tested ideas, and explored possibilities far beyond standard protocols. Eli was amazed by how much he could contribute and how much he could learn, simply by thinking differently and asking questions. When the first light of the station's simulated dawn began to glow through translucent panels, Eli finally leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had not expected to enter a room by accident and spend an entire night solving complex problems with an alien mind, yet here he was, having done exactly that. "You have shown me," she said softly, "the value of human perspective. I underestimated it before." Eli smiled. "I think humans often surprise even themselves." For the first time, he felt that his human qualities, curiosity, persistence, and creativity, were not weaknesses but gifts. They were the reason he had succeeded tonight, and perhaps the reason humans could thrive even in the vastness of space. "You may return," the alien woman said, her voice calm but filled with recognition. "Perhaps others will learn from this. Perhaps humanity has more to offer than many believe." Eli felt a sense of pride he could barely put into words. He had entered the wrong room by mistake, yet that mistake had led to something extraordinary. It was a reminder that being human, thinking differently, embracing uncertainty, and seeking solutions where others see only problems, was a strength, not a flaw. As he finally stepped toward the door, he glanced back at the alien woman. Her eyes glowed softly in the early light, and for a moment he wondered if she understood the full significance of their collaboration. Perhaps she did. Perhaps she had seen what many others in the galaxy had not, that humanity, in its creativity and resilience, could achieve what others could not even imagine. Eli walked into the corridors of the station, feeling taller, stronger, and more certain than he ever had before. That night had changed something inside him. It had shown him that humans were not merely guests in the universe, but active participants, creators, innovators, and explorers. And as the station continued to hum around him, he smiled to himself. What had started as a wrong turn had become a journey of discovery, a night that proved, without question, that humans had a place among the stars. The alien woman had not asked him to leave. And Eli realized as he walked back into the bustling corridors of the station that he did not want to leave. He had found a connection, a purpose, and a reminder that sometimes mistakes were just the first step toward greatness. For Eli and for humanity, the universe was full of possibilities, and that night had proven that when humans embraced curiosity, creativity, and courage, they could light up even the most alien and complex worlds. The station was quiet when Eli returned to the room the next day. The corridors were less crowded now, filled with travelers who moved with purpose, yet none seemed to notice him as he made his way to the alien woman's chamber. He still could not believe how a simple wrong turn had brought him here and changed everything. When he entered, she was already working with the holograms again, her hands moving in delicate patterns. She looked up, her eyes glowing softly, and for a moment she studied him in silence. Eli felt a thrill of anticipation. "You return," she said. Her voice held a warmth he had not heard before. "You have chosen to stay." "I did," Eli replied. "There is more to learn and maybe more to help with." Her gaze lingered on him, and then she gestured toward a hologram that had not been there before. It was a complex pattern, a network of glowing lines that twisted and turned like a web. "The station prepares for expansion," she explained. New modules will attach and systems must adapt. It is delicate work. Many fail to anticipate the needs. You may offer insight. Eli approached, examining the hologram. It was intricate, far more complex than the energy core from the previous night. Yet as he studied it, he noticed patterns and possibilities that others might overlook. Humans, he realized, often saw connections where aliens relied only on strict logic. Perhaps if you integrate the secondary pathways first, he said, pointing at the glowing lines, it will stabilize the network faster. Then the primary modules can adjust naturally. She tilted her head, watching him. You see the system differently. Humans adapt. Eli smiled faintly. We try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we always look for options. They worked together through the day, adjusting lines, testing connections, and observing how the system responded. Each time Eli suggested an adjustment, the hologram seemed to breathe with new energy. He felt a strange joy, a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he had known on Earth. You teach through action, the alien woman said softly. Most only follow instructions. You inspire change. Eli felt a warmth spread through him. He had always thought of humans as small and fragile, especially compared to advanced alien civilizations. But here, his abilities, observation, creativity, persistence, were exactly what was needed. He realized that the human approach, often seen as chaotic or flawed, could be a powerful force in the right circumstances. As the station adjusted to the new modules, a subtle shift in the network caught Eli's attention. One section flickered unpredictably, showing signs of stress. He pointed it out, and together they devised a solution that did not force the system but encouraged it to find its own balance. You notice what others overlook, she said. Humans perceive possibilities. Eli nodded. Sometimes that is all we have. If we only follow rules, we miss opportunities. By nightfall, the station was humming with harmony. Systems flowed seamlessly, new modules integrated without issue, and the holograms displayed smooth, stable patterns. Eli leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had entered this room by chance, yet he had become a crucial part of something far greater than himself. The alien woman observed him quietly. You have changed outcomes, she said. Not through power, but through understanding. That is rare. Eli felt a swell of pride. He realized that humans, often underestimated, had qualities no algorithm or protocol could replicate. Curiosity, adaptability, creativity. These were gifts that allowed them to solve problems in ways others could not. You honor humanity, she continued. You remind me of what it means to seek, to learn, to try. Eli smiled. I think humans remind themselves sometimes too. We forget our own strengths until the right moment appears. They continued their work late into the night, exploring possibilities that extended beyond the station itself. Eli noticed that the alien woman began to ask questions, seeking his perspective not only on technical issues but on approach, process, and choice. She seemed fascinated by the way he thought, the way humans could see multiple paths and weigh possibilities. You trust intuition, she observed. Aliens often rely on certainty. You embrace uncertainty. Eli nodded. It's not always easy, but uncertainty allows discovery. We see patterns in chaos. We find solutions in places others would ignore. Her eyes glowed brighter, and Eli felt a sense of connection he had never experienced before. It was not friendship in a human sense, nor was it mentorship. It was something new, a bond formed through shared exploration and mutual respect. He realized that the alien woman had been waiting for someone like him, someone who could think differently and help the station, and perhaps her civilization, see new possibilities. Hours passed, but Eli barely noticed. He was fully immersed, not just in the work, but in the understanding that humans had a role beyond their home planet. They could contribute, teach, and inspire, even in worlds unimaginably advanced. Finally, the alien woman paused, floating slightly above the floor in a graceful stance. You have shown me. Your presence changes perspective. You remind me that life can adapt, that solutions are not always predictable. Eli felt a profound sense of purpose. He had never imagined that a single wrong turn could lead to this, an entire night and now a day spent shaping outcomes and proving the value of human creativity. You may stay, she said softly. Tonight we continue. Tomorrow you may continue. And perhaps others will see what you see. Eli smiled. I want to stay, I want to learn more, and I want to help. The alien woman nodded. Then remain, observe, create, guide. Your perspective is valuable. As the night stretched on, they explored new systems, tested alternative designs, and mapped possibilities beyond what the station had ever achieved. Eli felt alive in a way he had never known. He realized that being human, curious, persistent, imaginative was not a limitation but a gift. You honor possibilities, she said finally. Humans, you adapt, you persist, you imagine. That is strength. Eli felt a deep sense of pride. For so long, humans had been seen as fragile, unpredictable, or limited. Yet here, he had demonstrated that their creativity, flexibility, and determination could achieve results that even the most advanced beings might miss. The station pulsed gently around them, systems glowing in perfect harmony. Eli knew that this night, this moment, was more than a lesson or a task. It was proof. Proof that humans, even far from Earth, could make a difference. That they could shine in ways others might never expect. You may return, the alien woman said softly, her glow calming and steady. Perhaps your work inspires change. Perhaps your presence reminds others. Eli nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. He had entered the wrong room by accident, yet he had found purpose, respect, and recognition. He had learned, taught, and discovered something essential, not only about the station or the alien woman, but about himself and humanity. As he finally stepped toward the door, he glanced back. The alien woman watched him, a faint smile on her lips, and Eli felt a connection that transcended words. He realized that humans, in their simplicity and complexity, could offer solutions, guidance, and insight that even advanced civilizations needed. The corridors outside were quiet, but Eli felt a sense of excitement. He had found a place where he could contribute, explore, and grow. He had discovered that being human, curious, persistent, imaginative, was not only enough but extraordinary. And as the station continued its gentle hum, Eli understood something profound. Mistakes could lead to discovery. Curiosity could open doors. And humanity, with all its unpredictability, could illuminate paths that others could not even see. For the first time in his life, Eli felt that humans were not just passengers in the universe. They were creators, explorers, and problem solvers. And that night, he resolved to continue, to keep learning, and to show that humanity's brilliance could shine even in the farthest reaches of space. The alien woman had not asked him to leave. And Eli knew he would never leave, not because he was bound, but because he had found a purpose, a partnership, and a reminder that humans had something the universe could not ignore. The night stretched before him, full of endless possibilities, and Eli stepped forward with confidence. The station, the stars, and the vast unknown awaited, and he knew, without a doubt, that humanity was ready. Days passed on the station, and Eli found himself moving with confidence through the corridors he had once feared would confuse him. Each turn, each doorway, was no longer a trap or a mystery, but a path he could navigate. Yet no path interested him more than the one that led to the alien woman's chamber. He had come to think of it as a place where ideas flowed freely, where curiosity was celebrated, and where human perspective was valued, a rarity among the many advanced species he encountered. When Eli entered the chamber that morning, the alien woman was already waiting, her glow brighter than the day before. The holograms shifted in an intricate pattern, like a living map of the station's networks. Eli could see new connections forming, pathways he had never noticed, and his heart lifted. There was work to be done, and this work mattered. "You return with purpose," she said, her voice melodic yet calm. "You continue to engage with the unknown." "I do," Eli replied, stepping closer. "There's always something new to learn, and I want to help in any way I can." She observed him, her gaze lingering on his eyes as if trying to measure the depth of his resolve. Then she gestured toward the holograms. "The expansion continues. New modules will integrate tomorrow. The core must anticipate future demands. Your perspective is needed." Eli studied the holograms, noticing subtle stress points in the energy pathways. "If we adjust these lines early," he suggested, "the network will have more flexibility. It can adapt to the new modules without overload." She nodded, moving her hands in rhythm with his suggestions. "Humans foresee possibilities others overlook. You guide rather than control." Hours passed as they worked together. Eli guided the adjustments while the alien woman implemented them, sometimes pausing to ask why he chose a certain path or sequence. Each answer he gave revealed not only his thought process but also the human approach: adaptive, intuitive, and unafraid of unexpected outcomes. "You teach through reasoning and intuition," she said quietly. "Most species follow rules. You explore possibilities." Eli smiled. "That's what humans do. We try, we fail, we adjust, and we learn. It's not always neat or predictable, but it works." By midday, the network began to respond. The glowing lines in the holograms shimmered with stability, and the station systems hummed in harmony. Eli felt satisfaction, yet he knew the work was only beginning. Expansion would bring new challenges, and the station would rely on flexibility more than rigid protocols. "You remind me," the alien woman said softly, "that intelligence is not only in precision but in creativity. In humans, I see innovation, adaptation, and persistence." Eli nodded. He had long suspected humans possessed qualities that others underestimated, but hearing it acknowledged by such an advanced being filled him with pride. "We learn from each other," he said. "Even mistakes can teach. That's why we keep moving forward." A subtle shift in the holograms drew his attention. One pathway, leading to a future module integration, flickered uncertainly. Eli pointed it out, and together, they devised a solution that allowed the system to anticipate the upcoming change without forcing a rigid structure. The alien woman watched in quiet admiration as he guided the network's adaptation. "You see what is not obvious," she said. "You embrace uncertainty. That is strength." Eli felt warmth in his chest. It was not just the recognition. It was the realization that human qualities, often overlooked or dismissed, were exactly what the station needed. He had entered this chamber by mistake, yet now he understood that humans had a role in shaping not just technology, but understanding and progress itself. Even as they worked, Eli noticed the alien woman observing him more frequently. It was as if she were studying him not only to learn how he thought, but also to understand why humans approached problems the way they did. Her questions became more probing, yet never intrusive. She asked about his reasoning, his assumptions, and even his failures, seeking to understand the human mind. "You adapt beyond protocol," she said after a long pause. "Aliens rely on order. Humans, you create order from understanding. You guide life through possibilities." Eli considered this. "We have to. The universe is too big and too unpredictable to rely only on rules. We look for what might work even if it hasn't been tried before." Her gaze softened. "Perhaps that is why you endure, why humans thrive. Not through power or certainty, but through exploration, persistence, and thought." Even as they spoke, Eli realized that their collaboration was creating something new, something the station had never seen before. Their combined efforts were more than problem-solving. They were shaping the station's potential, enabling it to evolve in ways no rigid protocol could predict. "You inspire change," she said, her eyes glowing brighter. "Not through force, but through insight. That is rare." Eli felt a surge of pride. He had never imagined that human intuition and creativity could matter so much to beings so advanced. Yet here it was, proof that humans, often underestimated, had a unique role in the cosmos. As the day turned to night, they paused to observe the results of their work. The station glowed with life, energy flowing seamlessly through newly integrated modules. Eli leaned back, exhausted yet exhilarated. He had begun this journey by accident, yet it had led to understanding, collaboration, and tangible impact. "You honor intelligence," the alien woman said finally. "You show the value of curiosity, persistence, and insight. Humans, your qualities are remarkable." Eli smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection. "We can surprise even ourselves," he said. "We don't always know our own strengths until the right moment comes." She inclined her head. "And your presence reminds me that life can adapt, grow, and find solutions beyond expectation." Eli realized that this chamber, these late nights, and their work together had become more than technical collaboration. It was an exploration of human potential, a recognition that curiosity and adaptability were not just traits, they were gifts. "You may remain," she said, her tone gentle. "Tomorrow you may continue. Your guidance may shape more than systems. Perhaps it will inspire others to see the value in human perspective." Eli felt a thrill. He had entered the wrong room by accident, yet he had discovered purpose, partnership, and respect. He had learned, taught, and realized that humans could leave an impact far beyond their home planet. As he watched the holograms shimmer, he understood something profound. Mistakes could lead to discovery. Curiosity could open doors. And humanity, with its persistence and creativity, could illuminate paths no one else could see. He also noticed that the alien woman's questions had become personal, exploring his thoughts, values, and approaches to problem solving. It was not intrusive, but an acknowledgement that the human mind itself was a resource, capable of insight and understanding that technology or rigid logic could not replicate. "You remind me," she said softly, "that intelligence is not only in knowledge but in curiosity, imagination, and the courage to explore unknown paths." Eli felt a sense of purpose he had never known. Humans often doubted their own abilities, yet he now saw that the qualities he had taken for granted, curiosity, adaptability, imagination, were exactly what the station, and perhaps the universe, needed. The night stretched on, and Eli continued to guide, observe, and adjust. Every suggestion he made, every pathway he illuminated, was proof that humans could create solutions where others might fail. He realized that his presence was no longer accidental. It had become intentional, a bridge between human ingenuity and alien sophistication. "You honor possibilities," the alien woman said finally. "You show that life, when approached with curiosity and courage, can achieve remarkable outcomes. Humans, you are necessary." Eli felt a swell of pride and wonder. He had started this journey lost and uncertain, yet he had become a contributor, a teacher, and a guide. He realized that the simple qualities of humanity, curiosity, creativity, persistence, were not just survival tools. They were strengths that could shape worlds, influence civilizations, and inspire new understanding. When the first simulated light of dawn glowed across the chamber, Eli finally leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had entered the wrong room by mistake, yet that mistake had led to discovery, respect, and the undeniable proof of humanity's unique value. The alien woman observed him quietly, her glow calm and steady. "You continue to demonstrate the power of perspective. You remind me that life can find solutions beyond expectation. Humans, your presence matters." Eli nodded, feeling the depth of her words. He had discovered that being human, curious, adaptable, and imaginative was not only enough but extraordinary. He had proven that humanity could leave a mark, even in worlds far beyond Earth. The corridors outside awaited, yet Eli did not rush. He lingered, feeling the hum of the station, the glow of the holograms, and the knowledge that he had contributed something meaningful. The alien woman had not asked him to leave, and he realized he would not leave, not because he was required, but because he had found purpose, respect, and a reminder that humans could illuminate even the most alien worlds. As the night faded and the station pulsed gently with life, Eli stepped forward, ready for whatever came next. He knew that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges, but he also knew that humanity, with its curiosity, courage, and creativity, was ready. And for Eli, that realization was more than hope. It was proof that humans, even far from home, could thrive, inspire, and guide. The wrong turn that had brought him here was no longer a mistake. It was a beginning for him, for the alien woman, and for humanity's journey among the stars.